Hello. 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 I hope everyone is having a great day. I'll get started I'll get started at 5:03 as usual. Thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate you all. I don't know if I should start playing some music so we're not just sitting here for the 3 minutes in silence. I was thinking about that. One day I may have a whole theme song. Hello, hello. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you. Thank you. I'm still working on these eyebrows, girl. They starting to look more like they cousins. They don't look so much like stepsisters anymore, but I'm going to get there one day. All right, y'all. It's 5:03. And I am doing, Lord, where are you? God's timing. And I got to stop doing lessons that I struggle with. This is such a struggle for me. Just being still in God's timing. So I'm going to navigate this through with y'all. If I start crying, y'all already know this. Don't pay me no attention. We going to keep on navigating and we going to figure this thing called life out together. All right, I'm drinking some tea today. I'm cold. But so God's timing is we're just gonna get into it. In this society, the mindset is, it's right here, right now. One of my friends posted on social media a commercial. It was a Bell South commercial from back in the day, and the mother was crying. The father was like, "What's wrong? Are the kids okay?" And she said, "Yes, they just called to say hello." I lived in Novi, and if I called Detroit, it was a a toll call. Like I had to pay for that. And so, we live in a time now where everything is immediate. You almost don't miss people because everything is just right here, right now, right here, right now. Going to fast food was a luxury. Now it's an expectation that that's just what you do. And so I thought about as I was writing this, I started thinking about the JG Wentworth commercials. I want my money and I want it right now. And sometimes we're like that with God. It's like we look at him as a genie in a bottle. Give it to me right now, God. I asked for it. How much longer do I have to wait? And now don't get me wrong. Sometimes he answers us in an instant. And I have experienced that, but majority of the time it's just not that quick. You got to go through the process, go through. And so it made me think about even the children of Israel, were like that. They were like, look, you done took us from slavery and now we want to go back to slavery. We want to go back to what, because we know that. And, I thought about the prodigal son or the lost son over in Luke 15:11, Luke chapter 15, verses 11 through 32. And we are so much like him. We like, look, give me my portion now. We have such an entitled attitude. Run me my money. Run me my whatever it is. Mama ain't even sick. Well, what you gonna give me when you gonna die? It's like we want it right now. We live in such a right now society. And he got it and he didn't even know what to do with it, because a lot of times if God gives us what we want right now, we're not even equipped for it. I always joke, God keep me this size. It's really the donuts I like, but God keep me this size because if I was a size 6, it might be a struggle out here. So he give us what we can handle when we can handle it. I can't handle being a size 6. He already know his daughter not equipped. So, but the thing about the lost son, though, because it was a parable, it loses a level of when he decided to come back. His father went out there, and part of the reason his dad went out there was to cover him, because if you know anything about the culture, if your children disrespected you, they were stoned to death. So the fact that his father went out there was to cover him, because the people ready to be like, crucify him like they did Christ. So, and that's how it kind of is for us. When we come back or we come to ourselves, it's not just here's your robe and everything is okay. Nope. You got to go through whatever those consequences are for the decisions that you made. And so, like I said, God's timing is a hard one for me, because I've been praying for a husband, feel like since Lincoln freed the slaves, and God just is like, nope. And I done got to a point where I'm getting to a point, because I'm gonna always be real 100 with y'all. I'm getting to a point where I'm asking God, if it happens, I will love it, but it doesn't have to be such a major thing in my life anymore, so that I miss out on life always in this want of this thing that I don't have. And so just let me go through the steps as we go through them of waiting on God's timing, if it's his timing for me. So the first thing is it's 5. Is it 5 or did I make 6? Yeah, it's 5 points. And the first step into accepting God's timing for our lives is we have to remove the expectations. Ephesians 1:11 says, therefore, because we are united with Christ, we have received an inheritance from God. For he chose us in advance, and he makes everything work out according to his plan. So like I said earlier, God is not a genie in a bottle. We can't just rub the little bottle and, he just gives us whatever it is that we're asking for right then and there. Again, sometimes it does happen like that, but oftentimes that's not how it is. And that's the struggle, because you feel like you're kind of in that loop of, okay, Is this according to your will? Is it not? What's going on? And then you'll get the overly saved people that'll say, well, if you delight yourself in the Lord, he'll give you the desires of your heart. So then you start to question yourself. Well, if I'm not getting this, am I not living up to God's will for my life? So then you can really start going down a spiral when it just really could just be the timing is not right for you. And it may not be you. It could be whatever it is you're asking for. It's not ready. It's not ready for you. So the second thing is finding peace during the waiting. And that's Philippians 4:11 through 13. Not that I was ever in need, for I have learned how to be content with whatever I have. I know how to live on almost nothing and with everything. I have learned the secret of living in every situation, whether it is with a full belly or empty, with plenty or little, for I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. When we truly understand that God provides everything for us, we begin to understand that God got us, no matter what the situation is. Now, I want to go back to the point of, well, I guess these two. There was a time when I had lost my job, and I think I told y'all this story before, and I had, my phone was cut off. My cell phone was cut off because I had lost my job. I didn't have any money. And the company reached out to me via email and said, we hope you haven't accepted a job somewhere else. We would like to offer you the job. But I had already received an email from them that said that they had went with another candidate. And I don't know if I was candidate number 2. And the person they originally had decided they didn't want the position. I have no idea. That's not even my business. All I know is that in God's timing, they offered me the job, and I was more than happy to take that job. And it actually propelled me to be where I sit right now. But when I was weighing in the water and falling and rolling over the floor, couldn't afford my cell phone, God still made a way. And I had to learn to just be completely dependent on him in that moment, because I was broken. I was like, God, where are you? Why aren't you? I serve a God that can cause a donkey to speak and a 90-year-old woman to have a baby. I know for sure you can give me a job. You can send me a husband. You can do whatever these things are. Why won't you do it? And I still don't have that answer, but I do know that when I look back over my life, I'm like, I couldn't have put the pieces of this puzzle together better if I had wanted to. I would have jacked it all the way up. I would have had the blue pieces with the red pieces I wouldn't have been able to put it together. So the next thing is trust in God, goodness and his faithfulness. Psalms 23:6 says, surely your goodness and unfailing love will pursue me all the days of my life, and I will live in the house of the Lord forever. And God is working it out for our good. He really is. And with us, all we see is the impossible of it, but God sees the possible, and he's just waiting for us to get on board. And I think once we get it in our head that God's will is going to be done regardless, it makes life a little bit easier. It's going to happen. Sometimes we prolong how long it's going to take to happen because of our attitude. And again, this is a lesson I'm struggling with. So I'm talking all my fingers is pointing in my face because I'm struggling with this in my own season. And the next point to this is that, like I said, you can't fake it. You know, at least I can't. It's so much easier to write or talk about trusting God. It is very hard for me to put it into actual practice. But I try to tell my daughter all the time, whatever you practice, you master. And so I'm trying more and more and more to practice trusting God, being completely dependent on him, and shut out the world. Like I was talking to a gentleman, I was helping a friend with a catering event, and he was asking me, had I done any more speaking engagements? Because I actually spoke with him at the Women's Expo. And I said, no, but In God's timing, he was like, that's an excuse. You using that as an excuse. Why aren't you getting out there making it happen? And I was like, and sometimes you got to remember who you're talking to, because when you're talking to people that's in the world, it is an excuse for them. They, but when you are trying to be ordered by God's steps, I'm putting myself out there. I'm using my own platform, but I'm not on, my girl, Sarah Jake's level. One day we might be high-fiving doing a conference together, but today, right now, that's not where I'm at. So I'm going to use the tools that I have and continue to sharpen the tools in my toolbox and remove the tools that's keeping me back so that I can move forward and do what God has called me to do. But I do know that in his timing, if it's for me, it will happen and it will be so effortless. Then number 4 is you got to get quiet with God. Jeremiah 6:16 says, this is what the Lord says. Stop at the crossroad and look around. Ask for the old godly way and walk in it. Travel that path and you will find rest for your soul. But you reply, no, that's not the road we want. I was like, oh, get off my toes, Jesus. Yeah, I wanted God's way, but I don't want the process that I got to go through for God's way. It's too much. It's too much work. It's too much healing. It's too much unpacking. It's too much everything, and I don't want that. I want it easy. I want to be able to say, I jumped from A to Z. I don't want what's B through Y. That's B through Y is work. I want to be able to say I started here and now I'm at the finish line. But that's not the reality of life. If you think about even your children, they can't go from birth drinking milk to the very next day eating meat. Life is a process, and I have to just learn how to go through the process, even if I don't like the process. And that's what we got to learn to do. We got to get through the process. And we have to be certain that when we have to make certain that when we ask God for something and it's according to his will, that we know that we can have it, and we get that by spending time in his word. And we need to prepare ourselves for receiving what we ask for, because sometimes we ask for something but we're just not prepared for it either. So we got to make sure that whatever it is, that we're preparing ourselves for it. And that's 1 John 15:14 says, this is the confidence that we have in approaching God, that if we ask anything according to his will, he hears us. So to do that, I'm going to leave us with these 3 points. We're going to pray for wisdom and discernment. We must be okay with stepping outside of our comfort and being obedient to God's will for our lives. So I'm not going to talk as much as I did last week. I was 40 minutes last week, but this week I am done. So I hope that this has touched you all. I hope that you guys can learn from my struggle of waiting on God's timing, because it's very much so a struggle for me. But every day it gets a little bit easier. Every day I get a little bit stronger with waiting on his timing, because I do know it's perfect. I do know that he does have a perfect plan for me, even if I don't immediately understand the plan that he has. But I thank you all for joining, and I love you all. I'll see you guys, Lord's will, next week. All right, bye.